Gentlemen, it is time once again for the XRL Extreme Racing League series to come back to you. Last 2 weeks I've not been in the broadcast booth due to other racing events going on. However, I'm finally back and we're going to be here. It's the third to last race of the season at Monza. Things have changed quite a bit in the last 2 weeks. However, we are now looking at the driver lineup, and you will see some of the ways that everything is changing. Also, we are beginning to struggle again with attendance issues like we did at the start of the season. So, I guess we're really going to book in this season. In the Mercedes team, they're being represented by Level 6 BC and XRL Steel. In the Scuderia Ferrari team, it's Ryan Hurricane and Dan JJ02. In the Red Bull team, it is going to be Kinsey Retro and Davis John. The McLaren team is being represented by BG Beast and XRL Low. In the Renault team, it's Zola and Fletch 2020 1390. In the AlphaTauri team, it is XRL Torpedo and Careless Jackson. The Racing Point team is being represented by Higsby 97 and XRL Fiend, and the Haas team is being represented by Elfin Starfish. There are no representation in the Alpha or the Williams team, and it's not anticipated that we will see any more drivers show up today. A lot of drivers who have found themselves put in the slower cars just seem to not have much interest in continuing to work in the series right now. So that leads to the situation where we are at now. Preparing to launch into the circuit itself. Monza, without a doubt, the fastest circuit on the Formula 1 calendar as it stands right now. Although it's gone through quite a few alterations and modifications over the decades, its current layout has been pretty consistent for the last several years. With only 15 drivers here today, there's not going to be a whole lot of pushing or rushing to really get anything done. Drivers will probably go out, set a lap time, and bring it right in because all 15 of them are guaranteed to advance into qualifying session 2, assuming that none of them crash out. Now, and it's a big if, but if another driver does end up showing up before the session ends, we could have a little bit of a late chase to the end, but I'm not anticipating it. Preparing to load onto the circuit itself right now. Here we are. Well, my screen's still black, but we should be underway very shortly now. Come on. There we are, game. Alright. Dark sky. Quite rainy by the looks of it, but the skies are dark overhead, and that could lead to some interesting scenarios regarding getting the tires up to a proper operating temperature. Waiting right now to see who is the first driver to get out onto the race circuit. So some of the big changes, the biggest change overall, I would argue, is that the Renault team has lost its star driver, Dan JJ02. He's moved to the Ferrari team with Ryan Hurricane. So their two fastest drivers have now been put on the same car, and they anticipate that it should make the championship for the drivers' title fight a little bit more interesting. However, the knock-on effect is that means that unless something really crazy happens, we are going to likely see a easy lockup in the manufacturers championship. Also, we're getting words that rain might be in the area, not in the qualifying session itself, but potentially in the latter stages of the race. No guarantee, but that is what's anticipated. Real quickly as we go ahead and look at the standings where they are after our last two races. For right now, Danny JJ02 currently has a 33-point lead over Ryan Hurricane. XRL Low is third with 116 points. Young Maneuver has 112, but he has not shown up for today's race. That puts him under threat from XRL Zola. Zola is... Wait, is Zola not? There he is. There's Zola. Zola is at 100 points. Then Pinkwell has 98 points. Hassel has 67 points. Mr. Anderson, 1872, has 49 points. He has been kicked out of the Ferrari car. He is now in the other Renault car. XRL Wax has 46 points, as does Smoothie 25. Higsby 97 has 42 points. XRL Steel has 38 points. Kinsey Retro has 34 points. XRL Path has 28 points. XRL Lazda has 15 points. Level 6 BCN has 13. Elephant Starfish has 8. Frisbee 2 has 5. And PPR Venom and Collie Boy tie while bringing out the back of the point standings. They each have 1 point. In the Manufacturers Championship, going from the bottom to the top, Alfa Romeo has 49 points, Mercedes has 59, Aston Martin has 87, Williams has 88, AlphaTauri has 90, Haas has 155, Renault has 189, Racing Point has 234, Ferrari has 247, and McLaren has 267. However, we can anticipate that unless some really strange stuff happens, we will likely see the Ferrari team overtake the Renault team by the end, the McLaren team by the end of the season. Going through the field real quickly here. That is a tracing point of Higsby, who has come pretty much to a dead stop in that very first chicane. He's back underway now. Again, not really much to worry about for your first qualifying session. With only 15 drivers, you can go out in whatever set of tires you want, just burn the crap off of them. And as long as you don't destroy the car, you'll be perfectly fine. You see Zola, Fiend, and Fletch are all on wet weather tires right now, just to really hammer home how little they actually care. And Zola has actually had an incident. It looks like that decision to run wets might not have been the greatest idea, because he might be under threat of completely destroying the car altogether. But Fiend is in the middle of a lap right now on full wet tires on a dry racetrack. We'll just ride on board with him for a little bit on this joke lap. Not really a joke lap, just a joke lap. Yeah, it's about what I anticipate to happen. The good news is there aren't the walls, although they do line the track. They're mostly on the interior, so the actual risk of destroying the car is extremely, extremely low, as Fiend lets Low by, and he'll now let the Ferrari of Danny go by. Now, if something does happen at speed, he will definitely be running the risk of some significant damage. I'm not too terribly concerned. Even with the wet weather tires, he still gets 192 miles an hour at the end of the straight and invalidates the lap. Outstanding. Anyways, BG Bullbeast has had a off-track excursion there in the second chicane. The first driver to set a lap time today will be XRL in the McLaren 1 minute and 20.941 seconds. I anticipate we'll see him retire into the pits very shortly afterwards. Again, with only 15 drivers, there is no real risk of anyone getting knocked out of qualifying. This is Zola right now running down that second straightaway. Significant front wing damage, but he just needs to get to the start-finish line and then bring it in. He should be okay. Ooh, that Mercedes has to squeak by. Won't be an issue, though. Zola says a time of 147.805. And Fletch gets a grid penalty for a collision with Torpedo. Fletch is running on the intermediate tire compounds in the other Renault. And here's a little bit of an interesting thing. Ryan Hurricane has had an issue of his own at the end of the second chicane. Now, it looks like he's probably pulled off because it is a cooldown lap. Not really a need to push or hustle or anything. Careless Jack's in the middle of a lap right now. He's one of the drivers trying to take this moderately serious. Coming down that second straight. .879 at the end of that second straightaway. Renault very kindly gets out of the way. Shouldn't be an issue. Ryan Hurricane has gone ahead and retired from the session already in the pit lane. I imagine we'll see lots of drivers doing just after they set their flyer lap. But considering how long this circuit is, just the process of getting out of pit lane, doing your warm-up lap, your flyer lap, and then coming back in will take you 4 minutes, if not longer. So I'm just saying that we're going to see a lot of drivers retire. And Fiend has retired in the pit lane, I believe, but he did it without setting a lap time. And that would mean that Fiend will not advance into qualifying session 2. And not only will he not advance into qualifying session 2, he was basically guaranteed to start dead last. BG Bullbeast currently out on circuit, setting a lap right now. Kinsey is the only driver on track who is in the middle of trying to set a flyer. Very awkward run through the very first chicane there. No one in front of him, no one behind him for the moment. Kinsey's best run this season has been a second at Bahrain, but hasn't really been having a lot of luck replicating that result this season. Carlos Jackson has had an incident coming onto the third straight. And he is back underway, and he has already set a time, so it's not too much of an issue. As we turn our attention back to Kinsey Retro. Through the Scary chicane. Ryan Hurricane Zola have both retired from the session. Everyone else is either on track, though, or setting laps, or have set laps at least. I honestly thought we would have seen more drivers having retired from the session already. But I'm starting to see a little bit more sun peek through the clouds as Kinsey goes to 7th, 136.497. Again, Kinsey is one of the drivers who is using this as a throwaway lap. It's just kind of burning an extra set of tires. Jay Biscon retires from the session now. Fletch retires. This is Torpedo, who is now on his flying lap. Torpedo had been nice enough to go ahead and take over broadcasting for some of the earlier races. He has a spin. Trying to set a lap on the full wet tires, and he has now had an incident on the exit of the first serious corner on the racetrack. Now, it is still green. He could continue, and this would still count as a lap. Higsby and Danny both have softs on. Starfish now retires from the session. But Beastin and Torpedo both have some variant of wet weather tires equipped to their car right now. Again, drivers not even really using this as a practice session. They're just out here turning laps as kind of a throwaway, willing to discard the set of tires if it just means that they still have more sets of softs that they can use in Q2 and Q3. Danny is going to go ahead and cross the line. He goes right to the top with a 120.852. Torpedo should be crossing the line very shortly here. As you see, the McLaren of BG Bullbeast coming into the pits, and he will likely be retiring from the session very shortly. Torpedo says a time of 2:03.689, easily the slowest thus far. Higsby is still in the pit lane and has yet to come out onto the circuit. But everyone else has set a time and are basically on cooldown laps right now. Kinsey is in the pits but hasn't properly retired from the session, and Higsby has yet to make a movement out of his pit stall. Now Danny is retired into the pits. You see in the Ferrari camp they're getting ready to receive him back in. And then we'll see Level 6 Beastie and Torpedo come into the pits shortly afterwards. Still no movement from Higsby, as he has not made an effort to get out onto the racetrack yet. Here we are, Mercedes team's now coming out to receive Level 6 Beastian. And farther up, you can see the AlphaTauri team ready to receive Torpedo. As Torpedo now officially retires from the session. Now, the interesting thing is that Higsby did attempt to set a lap, but it was not a valid lap. So, 3 minutes and 34 seconds left on the clock. Alright, and now the session is, for all intents and purposes, over. Unless Higsby gets out onto the circuit, it'd be kind of a sad move if he decided to suddenly start moving with 2 minutes left in the session, but that is still a very distinct possibility. Nothing of significance or note going on at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and put some feelers out to see if any drivers might be willing to go ahead and jump into the commentary box real quickly. And yes, we do. XRL Steel has gone ahead, jumped into the commentary box. Go ahead, include your audio. A very interesting qualifying session 1. You have a time right now of 1:21.723 on the board. What are your plans for qualifying session 2? All right, so here's the other question. Of the 15 drivers that have shown up, 7 of them, one of them being you, elected to run Q1 on soft tire compounds, 8 elected to throw away a set of wet or intermediates. Do you think being one set less on soft tires might end up hurting you in the race or qualifying? All right. Well, there's the word. Thanks for going ahead and sharing your thoughts and strategies with us, and we'll let you get back to the circuit for qualifying session 2. All right, that's XRL Steel. Steel had a very rough season, but he's also been kind enough to jump in and share his opinions and experiences throughout the season with us in the broadcasting booth, and we're very appreciative of him for being willing to do that. As we turn our focus back onto the circuit, this is the section where everyone decides what kind of tire compounds they want to begin the race on, softs or medium tire compound. If you start in the top 10 positions, you will advance into Q3, and the tires that you turn your fastest lap in Q2 on will be the tires you start the race with. Right now, the first driver to get onto the circuit appears to be Higsby 97. Higsby completely throwing away any attempt at turning a lap in Q1, so that way the entire field can get a slightly earlier drop onto Q2. A little bit farther back, this is BG Bullbeast in the McLaren. And then behind him is Danny JJ A02. Then even farther back, that is level 6 Beastian. And ahead of him is the Haas machine of Elfin Starfish. And Starfish goes right into the dirt just to make sure that the Mercedes can go ahead and get some room. Now we're seeing a truckload of cars coming out onto the circuit. About 2/3 of the field is currently out on track right now. But the first driver to try and set a lap time will be the last driver who retired from qualifying session 1. Well, I say that. Higsby's in the middle of an invalid lap at the moment, but came early enough that I imagine he should be able to throw that away and start a proper lap, a fresh and anew here. We're going to go ahead, be silent, right on board with Higsby for a full lap here at Monza. And that's a rough invalid lap time for Higsby. A little bit of a twitch on the exit of Ascari. So he will not be the first driver to set a lap time in the session. That will probably go to this man here, JJA02. But note, Higsby was turning laps on these soft tire compounds. Danny is on the mediums, as is Bullbeast behind him. So it will be a little bit of time before we get an idea as to what the actual ability of these soft tires are here on the circuit. This is level 6 Beastie, and he is one of the drivers who have the soft tires equipped. Danny goes to the top, 121.634. Bull Beast has a 121.774. BCM 123.605. You can see Elfin Starfish coming back onto the circuit now. He is equipped with medium tire compounds. Steel 122.112. Now Careless Jackson says his time. Excuse me, 123.102, and that will be Fletch who is coming along and will set the next lap here. He goes up to second, 121.282. But Fiend right now has the fastest lap time, 120.569, so the softs, without a doubt, significantly faster than the mediums here. And that's not good for XRL Steel. He has pulled off completely on the inside of the circuit, a relatively blind section of the racetrack. And there's no one else coming. He should be able to get going and get away here before the Red Bulls close in on him. That is Jabez John, who's in the middle of an outlap right now, as is XRO Zola farther up the grid. Oh, and Beastian has now had an incident. I'm sorry, that's not an incident. He's just pulled over and let other drivers by. Never mind. Higsby, Kinsey, Torpedo, and Ryan Hurricane all in pit lane with softs equipped on their cars right now. Higsby attempted to be the first driver to set a lap time in the session and invalidated its flyer lap in the Ascari chicane, so he has yet to set a lap time properly. Elfin Starfish, though, in the middle of a lap on the medium tire compounds. And he invalidates it in that very first chicane. Meanwhile, Lowe now beginning his flyer lap. And we'll ride on board with Jabez John for a lap here at Monza to see what a lap is like on board with the Red Bulls. And that is a full lap on board with Jabez John. The Red Bull is good enough for 8th right now, 122.381. His teammate Kinsey Retro is in the middle of an outlap right now, and we should see him begin his flyer lap very shortly here. We don't get to do this a lot, but we'll go ahead and ride on board with another lap on board with Kinsey Retro so you can get an idea as to how the two teammates stack up to each other in qualifying pace. that is a full lap on board with both of the Red Bulls, one with Jabascan, one with Kinsey Retro. Kinsey's time is roughly 4/10 better than his teammate Jabascan, as Kinsey is currently lined up 7th on the timesheets. As it stands right now, of the 11 drivers who have set lap times, 9 of them have medium tires equipped. Torpedo is in the middle of a lap right now, is about to finish up. He also has medium tire compounds equipped. Carlos Jackson is swapping over to the softs in the pit lane. Torpedo goes to 10th with a 122.754. Higsby is still in the pit lane. Ryan Hurricane's in the middle of a lap, and Elfin Starfish has just come out as he has equipped another set of mediums to go for another shot at this. Lowe and Zola have both equipped soft tire compounds. They seem to think that they might be able to go faster if the drivers farther down the order make significant gains in their times. Ryan Hurricane coming down. He will be the 13th driver to set a lap time in this session. It's not a very good one, though. 130.650. He's going to have to go again if he wants any serious shot at making it into Q1. A dwindling hope for a championship needs to be met with a good run. And Steele has had an accident. And XRL Steele has had a crash there. I can't see. I'm not able to see his car because of where he is currently stationed on the racetrack, but I'm guessing he had an incident coming through the Ascari chicane. And it looks like that thing is ruined against the inside wall. My guess is that he twitched, caught the inside gravel trap, oversteered to try and get out of it, and went right into the outside wall and totaled his car. Higsby is still in the pit lane as Elfin Starfish is regaining his flyer lap now. As it stands for the moment, Steele will not advance into the next round of qualifying, and his teammate Level 6 Beastie is not in a very good position either. He is on the outside looking in. Fiend has the fastest lap time thus far with a 120.569. Alright, and coming back to the party with us is XRL Steele. Steele, go ahead and include your audio. I didn't anticipate talking to you again in 10 minutes, but what happened out there took you out of qualifying session 2? Steele, can you hear me?
Yep, I can. I feel like I've just been called to the principal's office.
You don't need to feel that. You don't need to get that torn up over that. I am a little bit curious, though, what happened out there through Ascari that took you out?
I was on the medium tire compound. I misjudged turning on full ERS deployment. I thought I was completely off the curb when I turned it on. I just caught that little bit of overspin on the back tires, and that would be as Angela Lansbury would say, the great female detective, that would be murder she wrote for the car.
Alright, so now we know that you're not even going to start in the top 10 positions. Right now, you might be looking at starting dead last. Do you have a strategy to try and climb back up through the field?
That would be to definitely watch where I'm deploying ERS, be a little bit more mindful of traction, and at this point, it's going to go back to my old fallback strategy. Is look for other drivers to make mistakes, put pressure on other drivers where I can, force the mistakes, and count on my teammate to help me climb the field.
All right, well, that's the word from XRL Steele. A very poor showing for Mercedes. It appears that neither of them will make it into qualifying session 3. Hopefully, you'll be able to turn your fortunes around the race itself. As we turn our focus back onto the racetrack, as Higsby is in the middle of a flyer lap on the medium tire compound, Starfish went for it and was not able to set a proper lap, so Higsby and Elfin Starfish have to set lap times now because there's only about a minute left on the clock. Higsby currently on the top end of the racetrack. The time to beat at the moment is still 122.112. Jabez John is out on circuit trying to improve, as is Torpedo. But as it stands right now, both of them are on the outside looking in. Steele's accident might have happened at a point that we may, if Higsby and Starfish continue to mess up on their qualifying lap attempts, we may see an event where only 9 drivers advance into Q3 instead of 10. Higsby running really, really wide. Deploys the DRS after you cross the line, but he has gone ahead, set time 122.087, so Steele is now out of the top 10. And now Higsby, his time of 122.087 is the time to beat. Torpedo and Jabez John have soft tire compounds equipped, though, as does Elfin Starfish. Starfish is on an out lap. Will he make it to the line in time? Yes, he will have just enough time to make this happen. So it's going to be extremely close and borderline for Starfish. He could not have called that any tighter if he tried. And Higsby has been kicked down the order. Kinsey has been as well. What about Jabez John? Right now, Kinsey is the driver on the bubble as Higsby is now on the outside looking in. A lot of drivers have set their best lap thus far, though, on the medium tire compound, so Jabez John might be able to make this happen. And he's aborted! And Jabez John aborted his attempt! So he will not advance. So now all the focus is on Elfin Starfish. Will Elfin Starfish knock the second Red Bull out of the top 10? Higsby is pulled over on the circuit. Well, now he's moving away again, but he had a little bit of an incident there in Ascari. Here comes Elfin Starfish. All the focus is on him if he will knock Kinsey Retro out of the top 10 or not. Through the lawn sweeping final corner. Laying hard into the ERS. The time, is it enough? 5th! So Elfin Starfish makes it, and they makes a hole right in the back of the tracing point. Congratulations, AI, you're not very practical, but the drivers will make it in. Fiend on the softs, Fletch on the mediums, Torpedo on the softs, Hurricane on the mediums, Starfish on the softs, Bullby Slow and Danny on the mediums, Careless Jackson on the softs, Zola on the mediums. Kinsey Retro will not advance, Higsby will not advance, Steele will not advance, Jabez John will not advance, and neither will Level 6 Beastian. So, Monza, a circuit that's normally been associated with equipment and machinery, giving you more of an ability than the driver itself, seems to be turning into the opposite here. In XRL, the slower drivers are put in the faster cars, the faster drivers are put in the slower cars. We're seeing a lot of the absolute slowest teams, like there were no Alfa Romeo showing up today, there was no Williams showing up today, and only one Haas showed up today. As it stands right now, though, the slower drivers who'd be in the faster cars, in the 2 top teams, neither of them advance into Q3. So as it is, we're going to look at a very, I would say, interesting or somewhat even contention for the pole position. No Mercedes are here, but no Williams are here either. So no one's going to be relying purely on car ability, and no one's going to be relying purely on driver skill. There's no Red Bulls here. The Haas that's made it, though, which is very interesting. Starfish is going to be the most interesting participant in this scenario because he is going to be in, without a doubt, the slowest car of this bunch. See a little bit of movement in the pits, and that would be from the McLaren team. Now I'm seeing movement in the Renault team and the Ferrari team. The first driver to get onto the track, the Elfin Starfish, is now finally making his way out into the circuit. First car out onto circuit is going to be Fletch 2020-1390. He will be the ones leading the field, and he's got the Haas of Elfin Starfish just a little bit behind him. Now we see both McLarens leaving. We see one of the AlphaTauris leaving. That is Careless Jackson, who has left. Both Ferraris have left, so already we're down to only seeing 3 cars still in pit lane. That is Torpedo, Zola, and Fiend. Everyone else is already out onto the racetrack proper. Zola is coming out onto the racetrack itself. No movement yet from Torpedo or Phoenix to get onto the circuit. It's going to be extremely interesting. It's going to be between the two Ferrari teammates, Danny and Ryan. These two are the contenders for the Drivers' Championship. However, if they fight too much on circuit and lose a chunk of points to each other, they will run the risk of not being able to bring Ferrari home the Manufacturers' Championship. Again, Danny was driving for McLaren, for Renault for a large portion of the season, and has been moving to Ferrari because his abilities has warranted him being kicked up a car level. Ryan Hurricane now beginning his flyer lap. Second in the championship. There was a period for about 4 weeks straight where Ryan, and Danny were basically trading bad luck between each other. But in the end of it all, Danny ended up ahead of Ryan. This points situation has stabilized as Ryan has invalidated the lap he was in the middle of. Danny, though, still in the middle of a proper flyer. Torpedo pulls over on the circuit. Not Torpedo, I'm sorry. Carlos Jackson pulls over on the circuit, so Danny has more fresh and clean air ahead of him. As it stands right now, Fletch will be the first driver to set a lap time. He will be the benchmark that everyone will be chasing, even if it's only going to be for about 5 seconds. 120.995. And right afterwards goes the car of... Oh, wow. Okay, no. So I'm guessing the McLarens didn't do it. So Danny will go ahead and set his time of 120.676. Low goes up to third, 121.208. Carlos Jackson pulled over for a bit, so his time of 127.743 is not an accurate representation of what he can do. Zola is in the middle of a lap. He will try and be the 5th driver to set a time in this session. The clock is ticking. Torpedo is still in pit lane and has yet to make a move out onto the circuit. And Ryan Hurricane came nice and early into the pit lane. He will try and go again when there's a little bit less traffic on the circuit. Zola to the top in the Renault, 120.247. He's doing a great job on his part. Starfish in the middle of the lap right now, as is BG Bullbeast and the other McLaren. His McLaren teammate has set a time of 121.208. Bullbeast is going to try and see what he can do with the same equipment. To the top, 119.956. Elfin Starfish is coming down now, and he will be the 7th driver to set a lap time. The cars ahead of him on track are all bringing it into the pit lane. Well, actually, I take the back. Carlos Jackson is going for another lap. Carlos Jackson putting some extreme wear on his tires, but he is going for another lap as Elfin Starfish goes across the line with a 120.834. Respectable amount of ERS currently loaded in that car, being applied around the entirety of the circuit here. Fiend, Torpedo, and Hurricane all have yet to set times, and all 3 of them are still in the pit lane. Hurricane attempted to set a time and invalidated right away in the second chicane, and came into the pits right afterwards so as to not waste precious fuel and tires. Coming to the line, Carlos Jackson is going to finally set a properly competitive lap time, 120.719. And right now, McLaren in a very interesting scenario. Their times are all within 1.3 seconds of each other, but Lowe is at the bottom and Bull Beast is at the top, despite the fact that Lowe, for all intents and purposes, would be considered the #1 driver on the team. Fiend and Torpedo are still in pit lane, but here's the other thing. Ryan Hurricane is finally back out onto the circuit, preparing to take another go at it. His teammate Danny is out on circuit as well, as we are about halfway through this qualifying session for the pole. DRS employed on the second straightaway now for the Ferrari of Ryan Hurricane. Coming onto the third straight now, as he begins to set his flyer lap low. Trying to improve. He is currently 4/10 off of Elfin Starfish's time. Ooh, a massive lockup on the front tires in the McLaren. Carlos Jackson finally brings it into the pits as Ryan Hurricane is in the middle of his lap. And Carlos Jackson retires in the session. He feels he cannot go faster than the 120.719, so he will not start any higher up than 5th in today's event. Lowe already down a significant amount of time in Sector 1 alone. Bean and Torpedo are still in the pits as we turn our focus right once again to Ryan Hurricane at the line, 26.928. His teammate Danny, though, purple Sector 2, so Danny is up on time, and he invalidates! And Danny JJ802 invalidates the lap that he was in the middle of. It was a lap that he was looking to gain time on, and Ryan Hurricane has invalidated his lap as well. Danny immediately brings it into the pits. He should have enough time to get the car refueled and get out there, but he will only have one serious attempt left to set a lap. Lowe going by for another circuit now. The only a driver on track in the middle of a serious attempt. Except for Ryan Hurricane. Ryan Hurricane seems to think that he has enough in that car to make another attempt at it, while Danny is still in the pit lane. As it stands right now, BG Bullbeast, the only driver to have cracked the 120 barrier. He's coming out onto the circuit, as are the two Renaults of Zola and Fletch. And Ryan invalidates it again. Torpedo is on an out lap. Fiend is in the pits. Lowe is still in the middle of the lap, and he is up by nearly 6/10 at the end of Sector 2. That sort of improvement could launch him all the way up into 5th. The fuel light is flashing. He's laying the hammer down. ERS employed. At the line, 120.343. That's good enough for 4th. Things are not looking good for Ryan Hurricane. He needs to hope that they have enough fuel in that car, and he cannot afford to make another mistake. He's aborting. Ryan Hurricane is aborting his attempts. He will not start any better than 10th. And that is great for the championship for Danny JJ802. That means that he will start significantly higher than his rival. Torpedo, the last driver, will have an attempt to set a lap time in this session. Fiend, it's going to be close, but I think Fiend might be able to, but it's going to be very close for Fiend and Torpedo. The time they need to beat, 120.834. The spread in times between the 7 is 9/10, and Fiend invalidates the lap he was in the middle of, but it is an out lap, so it's not going to matter too much. The real concern will be Torpedo. Torpedo needs to keep it clean, because with 37 seconds left, I see no way that he'll get another shot at this. clock is ticking. There is a McLaren that might have one more shot. Lowe is down on time by 9 seconds. The fuel light is flashing, but will he go for another attempt? No, he's extremely slow, and he's going to brain the car into the pits. Torpedo comes to the line because time's up, over, plow. And his time is only a 121.440, way off of everyone else's pace. But he has set a time and is guaranteed at least an 8th place position, as Fiend is now in the middle of a lap. Fletch overtakes Bullbeast, so Fletch now goes to the top, 119.944. What about Danny? Coming down, trying to get a starting position higher than 5th. Danny and Fiend are the last 2 wild cards in this qualifying session. At the line, Danny goes up to 3rd. And Fiend will be the last driver to set a lap time. He knocks Danny down, so Fiend goes up to 3rd instead. And Fletch and Bullbeast will be the drivers who will start on the front row. Fletch took the top spot from Bullbeast in the closing moments of the qualifying session and will bring that Renault a pole position for today's race. And that's their lineup. Ryan Hurricane starting 10th after he was not able to set a single time in the qualifying session. Torpedo will start 9th, Starfish 8th, Karros Jackson 7th, Lowe 6th, Zola 5th, Danny 4th, Fiend 3rd, Bullby 2nd, and Fletch will start 1st. Anyways, we now know what our lineup will be for the race itself as we prepare to load up. But we'll be roughly 5 minutes until we get underway for the race itself. We should actually be a little bit ahead of schedule than compared to normal. Just staying by right now, waiting to get underway. We should be going green, though, in about 3 minutes. should be getting underway here in about a minute or so. All right. And we have gotten the word. Everyone should start readying up. We see Ryan Hurricane and Higsby readied up. Now Fiend is ready up. Torpedo's ready up. So we are getting onto the racetrack proper. 15-car field for today's race. One of the smallest we've seen in a long time in XRL. Four lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out and away we go here at Monza. Going down the line, and it is Fiend who is trying to get the jump on Bullbeast, and he's got it. Fiend goes to the top over Bullbeast. Going into the first turn. Oh, and there's a Ferrari that's off. That's Danny who's gone off. Clatters across the track, runs to the side of Elephant Starfish. Chaos farther down the order. Torpedo has moved up some positions. Higsby has fallen well down the order, though. Out of the top 10 all the way down to 12th. And Ryan Hurricane is got caught in the outside dirt there. Everyone's trying to get properly lined out. Ryan Hurricane right there behind Jabez John. Not able to do anything for the moment. As the two Mercedes, very, very poor start from them. They are way off the back of the field already. At the top is XRL Fiend as Carlos Jackson has overtaken Fletch, so now move that AlphaTauri up into the 6th position. Torpedo running the risk of overtaking or trying to overtake Fletch back. Kinsey has gotten by Lowe, going through the final corner now. Starfish, Zola, and Lowe comes into the pits. Massive lockup from Bullbeast as Elephant Starfish is trying to hold himself ahead of Zola. The soft tires proving to be extremely competent right now. Board Torpedo. Still watching Fletch right now. But it looks like that Renault has a little bit better time putting the power down. But we are seeing that soft tire compounds, without a doubt, much stronger than the mediums in these opening laps. Carlos Jackson is stalking Danny JJ-A02. Also, we should see DRS open up in the next lap or so. And that should further the chaos in the midfield. But at the front, Fiend has already run off by 2.2 seconds over Bullbeast, and Bullbeast is 1.3 seconds away from Starfish. Danny right there behind Zola. This is where it gets very interesting. Danny is right there in Zola's tire tracks. He looks. He thought of making the dive, but realized he would not be able to keep it clean through the chicane. Once the DRS train starts, it will be Zola who will be leading the small train. Now we'll probably go all the way back to Torpedo in 8th, so a potentially a 5-car DRS train. Ooh, Zola, that's not good. You can't afford to be drifting into the dirt like that. And that brings Danny and Carlos Jackson right up behind him. DRS has been enabled, and Carlos Jackson is making a move on Danny, because Danny had to back out coming onto the straight to make sure he didn't run into Zola. So now Carlos Jackson is ahead of Danny, and he will be putting his focus on Zola. And Fletch might have a chance at catching your championship leader. Also, Torpedo has closed in on this battle as well. Danny a little bit of a lockup under braking. Zola coming to the pits. Fletch cuts the track to get by Danny. So Danny is hemorrhaging positions right now because here comes Torpedo. They're going to be side by side going under braking here. But Zola coming into the pits takes him out of that battle. Ryan Hurricane, meanwhile, has had an incident there in the first chicane. He is back underway, but he has now fallen all the way to the 13th position. Two Red Bulls are on top of each other for points-paying positions. But right now, the real interesting battle is going to be Higsby, because Higsby still has the soft tire compounds against Danny, who has mediums. Danny still has DRS off of Torpedo ahead. But Higsby will be faster through the corners. Danny has a time penalty for track violations. You can see the Tracy Point closing in on the Ferrari down the straight. Not enough there, but he will have DRS. Thing is, again, Danny will also have DRS down the main straight. You see Higsby doing everything he can to stay in the Ferrari's tire tracks. Closing in. Looks to the inside. And he's got him. Ooh, but he cuts the circuit. And immediately has to forfeit the position back. And Kinsey has had an incident in the first chicane as well. An issue, but he's trying to get back going again. That moves the Mercedes of Steel up into the points-paying positions and might give Ryan Hurricane a chance to get up to 12th at least. Meanwhile, BG Bullbeast has lost the second spot while we were looking between Higsby and Danny. So Bullbeast is now falling behind Elf and Starfish, but now Starfish no longer has DRS. Bullbeast does. So Bullbeast will be able to close in and put pressure on the Haas. But considering the Haas, with the Williams and the Alphas gone, the Haas will without a doubt be the slowest car on the track. The fact that Elf and Starfish has been able to drag that thing up into second speaks monuments to his talent. Oh, and Torpedo has crashed out! And that car is destroyed, and that is a virtual safety car. We're going to try and talk to Torpedo here in a short period of time. We should be back underway very shortly here, as the car has already been taken off the race circuit, and coming in the party right now is XRL Torpedo. Torpedo, go ahead and include your audio. What happened that took you out of the race there? Torpedo, can you hear me? Alright, go ahead and include your audio. What happened that took you out of the race? Absolute shame to see you take it out so earlier. You were having a relatively good run today. 2 races left in the schedule. Do you think you have a chance for a good run in either of those events? Wow, Bullbeast! Go ahead. for going ahead, jumping in, and sharing with us your experience here at Monza. Alright, Torpedo, who has been nice enough to help cover for some of the races while I have been away. I do want to go ahead and say thank you once again to him. We are now entering the point in the race where I think the medium tire compounds might be a little bit better than the softs. Also, Jay Bascon had to serve a drive-through penalty after speeding during the virtual safety car. So now both the Red Bulls are relegated back out of the points, and both Mercedes are back in the points, as is Ryan Hurricane. It's a very interesting showcase of who's who. In the front five, no one outside of Kinda Fiend has really had a lot of great runs this season. And for Fiend, this is looking very good because he's just crawling away from the field right now. Bullby's still right there behind the Haas. Careless Jackson is closing in just a bit. Again, Bullbeast has DRS and has tires that will last him a little bit longer than Starfish's. So this battle is going to eventually go in the favor of Bullbeast, but how long will it take? He has DRS. This will be the perfect chance for him to utilize it. Here he is on the inside, easy overtake, and now Starfish is going to find himself under pressure from Careless Jackson very shortly here. Next DRS straight, though, isn't until the second straightaway, and the third straight at this circuit does not have DRS whatsoever. Careless Jackson is now very much in the middle of this fight, and Fletch is closing in as well, so another potential 4 to 5 car draft train is looking to form here, as the drivers with the softer tire compounds are beginning to see their tires drift away from them just a bit. Careless Jackson right there on the back of Elfin Starfish, not able to do anything yet though. You can see Careless Jackson way closer to Starfish than Starfish is to Bullbeast for the moment. But in the draft, all of these cars close in a little bit more on each other. Careless Jackson trying to take an alternate line through Parabolica. And now the DRS train engages. Fletch looking to the inside of Careless Jackson, but he decides not to go for it under braking. Higsby has just overtaken Danny under the braking zone, so Danny now falls to 7th position. Kinsey Retro is slipped back by Ryan Hurricane. But that's going to hold them up a little bit more. This is going to be a lot longer before they can catch that draft train from 2nd to 5th. And not just that, Starfish is falling off the back of Bullbeast. And it's looking like Starfish might end up having to try and hold off Careless Jackson all on his own very shortly. The thing is, Fletch is right there behind Careless Jackson. If Careless Jackson makes a mistake, it's going to be extremely, extremely hard for Jackson to hold on to 4th. No DRS on this straightaway. And that's great because Fletch did not, well, it's great for Careless Jackson. Fletch did not have a good run through there. Careless Jackson did. He's closed in a little bit more on Elfin Starfish. Every time I see Careless Jackson's name, I keep thinking of Stonewall Jackson. I'm sorry that if I've accidentally said that, I do apologize. I don't think I have, but if I have, I do want to apologize for that. Anyways, on the main straight once more, he's less than 5/10 out from Elfin Starfish, but it's not going to be close enough to make a move happen. Fletch fell off the back just a little bit. Oh, and Zola has had an instant now. And that, this time, it's a full course safety car. I can't see what happened. And Hurricane just got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He came into the pit lane under that safety car, but now he's going to have a 5-second penalty he's going to have to deal with. Lowe is going to come into the pits as well. And this is not what Fiend wanted to deal with, because now the entire field is going to get forced to bunch back up. And it's also going to take a long time for the field to all properly gather up as well. And this could still end up being decent for Hurricane, although he will have a 5-second penalty. He's going to likely overtake several cars on the track, or at least run the potential of doing so. But real quickly, we're going to go ahead and reach out to Zola to see what happened to take him out of that race there. Is low. He's going to get by a safety car. Here comes our leader. Fiend comes into the pits. And this will be a perfect chance for the drivers who start on the soft tire compounds to get onto a different set. Bull Beast is not going to come in, but Starfish will come in. Careless Jackson will come in. What about Fletch? He will come in also. Higsby is coming in. Danny is coming in. In the Mercedes camp, what is their strategy? Steele is staying out. What about Beastian? Beastian is coming into the pits. Kinsey is staying out. Jabez John comes into the pits. Ryan Hurricane has already made a stop. However, it might not work quite as he anticipated. He was not able to catch the back of the field in time, so he will not gain that many positions. He should still be able to get up to 11th, but the benefit is going to be very minimal for Ryan. And Lowe already made his stop as well, and he should be able to overtake Jabez John for 12th, but we shouldn't see anything else besides that. So right now, the leaders are on the second straightaway, and Jabez John is going through the first serious corner. So with that in mind, I think we should be looking at going green on lap 13. Real quickly, we'll just go ahead and look at the penalties currently out on the circuit. As it stands right now, Higsby has 6 seconds, Danny and Kinsey both have 3, and Ryan Hurricane has a 5-second penalty, but Ryan Hurricane will likely serve that penalty when he comes into the pit lane at a point later in today's race. Also, there is a potential threat of rain still in the event to consider. We have now fallen to 13 cars left in this 15-car field, but everyone is still on the lead lap for the moment. This is our second yellow flag on our first full course safety car. The other one was a virtual safety car. And for Fiend, this is going to be very difficult because he has been out in front with clean air on the nose all day long, and now for the first time, he will not have that advantage. But the car ahead of him, BG Bullbeast, has tires that are 11 laps more, and then Steele is in third position, but he is on very worn soft tires while everyone else is on mediums that are either fresh or at least have more grip than his. So Steele, is going to be very hard for him to stay in the points pay positions. I imagine we'll see Steele falling through the order. Elfin Starfish was up there in the podium positions, was one of the drivers to come in and pit. Now he's in fourth. He should be able to overtake Steele without too much of an issue, but he's going to have to find a way to get by Fiend. This is probably great for Starfish if he can get by Steele without issue. Careless Jackson in a very similar position. Kinsey Retro is now in sixth. He can go a little bit longer on the tires. He might be able to overtake Steele, but right now Kinsey Retro is synced up strategy-wise with BG Bullbeast. There's the word safety car coming in this lap. Fletch is in the same scenario as Starfish and Careless Jackson, but he has a lot of traffic ahead of him that's going to make it difficult. Danny is the only driver to have jumped onto the soft tire compounds who was in the top 10 position, so he's going to be way faster than everyone else ahead of him. I imagine he will be flying through the field once those tires stop on him, he needs to hope that everyone is very much spread out, otherwise he will lose those positions right afterwards. Higsby and Beastian behind him are both on fresh mediums, and if they can just follow Danny as Danny tries to clear the way going through the field, they might be able to gain some spots. Ryan Hurricane is on the outside of the points main positions looking in, and his strategy to pit early did not work out in his favor. Lowe is on sauce. He'll try to be climbing up the order, as will Davis Gunn. As we're coming to the green flag here, we're going to ride on board with Steele. BJ Bullbeast gets a decent launch, and Steele immediately losing the position to Elfin Starfish, and now Careless Jackson is already going to overtake him as well. A very, very poor start for Steele. He has already fallen down to the 6th position. Look at Danny! And Danny makes contact! He very nearly destroys the car, and he's going to fall all the way to the 8th position, and that is Steele, who is already completely off the circuit. The strategy did not work out for him. Danny has fallen all the way to 9th now, and that's not going to help him whatsoever. But look at this battle. This is a little bit tighter than I think any of these guys wanted to be. Lowe was going to consider backing out of it. He does back out of it, but a little bit late. And now he spins, and that's right in front of Danny. And there's a bunch of cars involved now. And Danny now has damage to the front wing of that machine. And the McLaren of Lowe is trying to get back underway now. Now Ryan Hurricane is back in the points pay positions, and did he get out of there without wing damage? Now there is wing damage on that car for Ryan Hurricane. So both Ferraris will have to pit, and we are under a virtual safety car now. But at the front, Careless Jackson, Elfin Starfish, and XRL Fiend are all now going to be breathing down Bullbeast's back. This might be a good chance for Bullbeast to go ahead and come into the pits. He is going to stay out a little longer. What about Kinsey? Kinsey will also stay out. As Flesh, who is coming into the pits now. Davis John comes in. Danny is coming in. We imagine Ryan Hurricane will come in as well. Steele will actually leap, despite spinning on the restart. He is going to jump up into the 7th position. But honestly, I think Steele should have probably pitted and changed tires. But he's up in 7th now, and that's the best he's been in all day. Lowe up into the 8th position now, as we are back underway. Careless Jackson watching Starfish, and ahead of them is Fiend and Bullbeast. So a 4-car battle for the lead. Starfish having a little bit of trouble at the top end of the circuit. But this is the real battle for the top spot. Fiend is right there behind Bullbeast. DRS hasn't been enabled yet, and Fiend might try to overtake him by pure ability. Look at this, though, for 3rd position. Starfish right there behind Careless Jackson. He has to back out going through a scarring so as not to run off circuit. But Fiend is there. Fiend goes to the inside. Can't make it stick through Parabolica, but he will have a different lane going through here, but fall back in line behind the McLaren. So he has the draft. Now he looks to the outside. The DRS has been enabled. So Bullbeast will have that to fight back with. Side by side for 1st and 2nd, side by side for 3rd and 4th. And they're still neck and neck for a top spot, and a little bit of contact leads to Bullbeast on top. Careless Jackson ahead of Elfin Starfish for the moment, and this is perfect for Kinsey because it gives him an outside chance of closing in on the lead battles. Fiend knows that he will have DRS when they get onto the 2nd straightaway. He just needs to stay within a second, and frankly, I'm sure he wants to stay even closer to that so he can complete the pass before they even get to the braking zone. Starfish, though, is on the same tire compound life as Careless Jackson, so the circumstance isn't going to be nearly as easy for 3rd as it is for 1st and 2nd. Fiend already within a 1/4 of a second, but he has to back out going through a scary. Will close back in on the straight, though. Trying to make something happen. DRS enabled. You can see The tracing point closing in. There's nothing that McLaren can do except try and make a good defense. Neck and neck. Once again, and this time, it is Fiend who got a better run, and Starfish is overtaking Careless Jackson now. Oh, but Fiend made a mistake, and now they're back side by side. And the McLaren goes back on top. As Starfish and Careless Jackson are also continuing to slug it out. But as Starfish and Careless Jackson continue to fight, they are losing ground to the leaders. This could be the chance for Careless Jackson to get back in front of Elfin Starfish. He's got DRS. He goes to the inside. And he goes into third. I thought I saw something that, but I did not. Fiend dropping slowly off the back of Bull Beast now. But again, Fiend has fresher tires, so the battle will come back in his favor if he can just stay in touch with him. These two continue to fight, though. Elfin Starfish looking for another overtake. And this time, Elfin Starfish gets it without contact. Now, Careless Jackson will have DRS still. There is one other battle going on the circuit, and that is between these two. Steel with 16-lap war and soft tires plummeting slowly away from the leaders, and Jay Buscan is also overtaking Danny farther back in the field as well. Oh, and for the lead again! And Fiend back in front of Bull Beast at the end of the straight. And he did it at a good time because Bull Beast has to back out through Ascari. The tires can't take an excessive amount of punishment. Bull Beast already closing back in thanks to the help with the draft. Now through Parabolica once more. He's going to have DRS and ERS that he can utilize against Fiend. He's closing in at a very significant rate, but they're already coming to the braking zone. He's not going to be able to make the move yet. Oh, massive lockup on the front tires. That's not going to help him, especially when the tires already have so much wear on them. But he's not too far off from Fiend at the moment. Lowe has overtaken Steel. But this is the main battle on circuit. Fiend trying to hold off Bull Beast. This time Bull Beast will have DRS, so he's going to get a chance to maybe do to Fiend what Fiend did to him. Fiend made a little bit of a mistake going through the corner, but Bull Beast had to back out, so he's not closing in very much on the straight this time. If anything, he's backed out just a little bit. Oh, wow, that twitch, and a major twitch from Bull Beast. He has now lost any chance of pursuing the lead again. Meanwhile, the battle for third and fourth continues. Starfish, Careless Jackson. Even without DRS, Careless Jackson already goes in front, cuts right in front of Starfish, and Starfish did not help that whatsoever. Actually, he's going to pull a respectable amount on Starfish because he got DRS before he passed him, but he was given DRS before he completed the pass. However, he didn't get it until after he was already passed, so he was actually able to artificially increase the gap just a bit. Kenzie, meanwhile, has lost the position to Lowe, and now is going to find himself falling under pressure from Steel. But again, Steel has extremely worn tires. Farther back, this is interesting. Jabez John has just lost position to Danny, so Danny is back in the points-paying spots. Neither Ferrari driver, neither of your championship contenders have been having a very good day today. Danny's has been better than Ryan's, but it's not been great for either of them. Once more, though, we go ahead and put our focus on the battle for third and fourth position, and Bullbeast is falling off the pace now, and he might end up getting caught by Jackson and Starfish if it keeps up. Jackson and Starfish very much even, putting the power down, going through Parabolica, but again, Starfish has DRS, Jackson does not. Will he be alongside going into the braking zone? Yes, he is. Who's it going to be? Oh, and Jackson has to back way out of it that time. Completely, I don't know if he was surprised or if he just misjudged or what, but he is farther off of Starfish now than he was at any time prior. That battle, for all intents and purposes, might be over now. Now, Jackson will have the advantage of having clean air on the nose for a bit, but that's not an advantage over Starfish. It's just an advantage over where he was when he was following Starfish before. The gaps between everyone are widening out just a bit. For Kinsey, Retro, and Steel, though, it could be good because they both are in a position where when they pit, they're likely only going to lose one, maybe two positions, and will be able to overtake those drivers ahead quickly by having better tires and strategy. So for Low and for Kinsey, Retro, and Steel, the race might not be totally over for them yet. Fletch is in a very interesting scenario. Again, there is anticipation that rain will fall later in the event. Fletch is going to try and make up some ground by virtue of not stopping again until the rain comes, if the rain does come. The thing is, for Fletch, though, he is 14.5 seconds off of Steel, and he's not gaining any time. And those hards are way slower than the softs and mediums here. It's a strategy, but right now, the question is, how much is that strategy really going to pay off? He is closing in on Steel and a small amount on Kinsey, but compared to the rest of the field, he is losing time. Meanwhile, here's an interesting scenario. Carlos Jackson must have had an incident or something because Higsby is now closed in on him. The thing for Higsby, though, is that he has time penalties. Carlos Jackson does not, so he has to outrun those time penalties. This is currently looking to be the next big battle on the racetrack. It's going to go silent for a bit, right on board with Higsby as he tries to run down Carlos Jackson for fourth. I am still here. I'm still in the broadcasting booth, but I'm just being silent right now so you can just hear and watch this battle for yourself. Sometimes you don't need to talk over everything. There is another battle going on though, and this has a similar potential of being very interesting. Steele is working on Kinsey. Two battles we're trying to watch on the circuit as Lowe is now closing in on the battle between Higsby and Carlos Jackson. The two of them have fought long enough that has brought Lowe up to it as letting the top four cars get the top three cars, get away. Beast now has a time penalty for track violations. Lowe is in an interesting scenario because he is on soft tires that have quite a bit of wear on them compared to the medium tire compound drivers ahead. But he is still right there, and he should be close enough to get DRS on Higsby going down the next straight. Higsby has been faster by himself, but around Carlos Jackson, he's not been able to make any pass stick for any serious amount of time. Carlos Jackson doing an excellent job on defense. Here comes Higsby. He's going to try and go for another overtake attempt. Going down the straight. Sails right by him. But Jackson comes back under braking. And this time it's Lowe who has to back out of it. Steele is still right there behind Kinsey, but not in the position to do anything yet. And those tires are dying on him and dying on him fast. There's their battle. Higsby and Carlos Jackson side by side again, going to the second chicane this time. Lowe has way more speed than either of them, but they keep blocking the track. But Higsby is now ahead of Carlos Jackson. First time it's happened in a while, but Higsby has a little bit of trouble getting through these corners properly. Carlos Jackson's going to have DRS on Higsby. Danny JJ02 has jumped into the pit lane. That will drop him to 12. So again, neither Ferrari, neither championship contenders are in points-paying positions. Oh, wow. Carlos Jackson having to back out, as does Lowe, through Ascari. And Steele's tires are dead. He has just fallen to 2.6 seconds out from Kinsey. But I think right now everyone is seeing these darkening skies and are deciding to just go ahead and just stick with the tires they got. They don't want to run the risk of having to make an extra pit stop. But the problem with that mindset, though, is that you don't know how long it might be until rain actually falls, if it does even fall. You could be out here forever trying to make something happen on tires that, for all intents and purposes, are dead. Now Carlos Jackson has fallen to 6 behind Lowe. As Lowe is now going to put the pressure on Higsby. Again, Lowe's tires are falling away from him. They are not gaining any pressure, while Higsby's are still within a reasonable operating range. And now here's the other thing. Because of how large this track is, the decision of who will and won't get on tires first or second or whatever will end up being further complicated by the amount of time it takes to get around the circuit. Roughly 1 minute and 25 seconds a lap, real quickly. Instead of... Oh, and Starfish! And our third place driver! He has crashed out! That's a virtual safety car. It'll be a perfect chance for drivers. And Starfish, who has been in the points-paying positions and a podium spot for most of the day, is now out of it. We're going to reach out to him to see what he has to say, but what a catastrophe. We are back under green flag conditions already. It did not take long at all. All right, and coming into the party with us is Elfin Starfish. Starfish, can you hear me? Starfish, are you there? Starfish, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I can.
All right. Go ahead, include your audio. You have been running in the top 4 positions for a significant amount of the race. What happened to take you out of it?
The rear end just left me. I took the corner like I did every single lap. Nothing new. I was taking it easy to get no penalties, and it just disappeared. I don't know why. It didn't even go full power. I was cruising and it just disappeared.
It's an absolute travesty. Here's the question I have for you, though. Do you think that anyone has a chance of beating Fiend here for this race win?
I would say most likely it would be Fletch, because I think he's on hard. He's doing really good strategy, and Bull Beast.
Alright. Well, again, it's a shame to see you knock out so early, but thanks for jumping in and sharing with us what happened in the race today for you. Anyways, we now begin to turn our focus back onto the circuit, and I do want Brandon to point out that Starfish has, not only does Fletch have a potentially good strategy, he can go in as long as he wants on these tires, and he will be in the catbird seat when it comes to a swap to wets if necessary. But if the rain doesn't come, Fletch will likely be able to throw on softs for the very ending parts of the race and try and gain the point for fastest in-race lap as well. So things could be looking very well for Fletch, not to mention all the drivers around Fletch and ahead of him have time penalties. Fletch himself does not. Anyways, Steele has finally pitted and swapped over a soft tire compounds. He now has Ryan Hurricane working on him. For the first time today, Ryan Hurricane is actually ahead of Danny and is in the points paying position while Danny is out of it. However, with a massive 30-plus point swing, Ryan needs to be way higher in the order over Danny if he wants a serious chance at reigniting any championship hopes. Here's your time penalties. Higsby has 6 seconds. Bullbeast, Carlos Jackson, and Kinsey all have 3 seconds, as does Lowe, as does Steele, and Danny has 6 seconds as well. Bullbeast, very interesting scenario for him because he is on the same set of tires he started this race on. To see Beastie pull over and let Bullbeast by. Same with Kinsey Retro. So it seems like the softs are mad bloody quick for a period of time, and Steele is just coming into the pits. I'm guessing there must have been damage or something. The softs are mad lightning quick for about 5 laps or so, but then afterwards they basically stop really having any serious potential, and Steele has made the swap to the intermediate compounds. It's an extremely early decision to make the swap now. If this doesn't work out, Steele is going to go a lap down. He needs to hope that it starts pouring right now, and he spins, trying to put the power down. That's right in front of your race leader, Fiend. Oh, and he's into the barriers. I'm guessing Mercedes has hired some old Ferrari strategists. So he's gone ahead and equipped the intermediate tires, thinking that the rain is right here, but the rain's not here. And when you're running around on intermediate tires on a dry racetrack, what it does is that, and he spins, and he slams the inside wall. But there's not very much grip that intermediate tires are going to have. And now he's just holding up the other cars on the racetrack. And that was a little bit of contact, I believe, between himself and Carlos Jackson. But on intermediate tires, in the dry circumstances, you get significantly less grip. And from the grooves that are on the tires, the rain tires are grooved. What really helps the tires get maximum grip is, and you're starting to see right now, is how nice and angled the edges on those grooves are. As you rain around on a dry tire, what happens is that those grooves start getting pulled off in chunks. And when the rain even does come, the rain's not going to be pushed away from the tire in a very practical or efficient manner. I am finally beginning to see some rain falling on the racetrack, but I think it's easy to say that Steele's made this decision, if not a full lap too early, potentially 2 laps too early. Kinsey Retro is coming into the pits though. He is pitting out of the 7th position. And are they equipping intermediates on the tires? No, it is softs. So Kinsey is likely on a unique strategy. He is going to try, before the track gets too wet, he is going to go for the fastest lap of the race. Because once the track gets wet, DRS is gone, and you're going to be running tires that are significantly slower. So Kinsey running a very unique strategy, trying to get the fastest lap of the race as fast as possible. But he needs to hope that the rain doesn't give him an issue for at least a good 3 minutes. Lowe is catching Fletch, and he is going to want to make this overtake happen as soon as possible. But again, Fletch is in a decent position, as is everyone in the top 4. And there's a virtual safety car, and Steele has now been knocked out of the session. Oh wow, and that's right on the racetrack racing line as well. It's right on the racing line. And there is nothing left on the side of the car. What in the world happened? Yeah, the inside, the right side of that car is completely destroyed. So now we're under a virtual safety car. Careless Jackson is using this time to come into the pits, and they are going to equip the intermediates. We're going to go ahead and reach out to Steele real quickly here. So Careless Jackson now goes on the intermediates. For Kinsey, it's going to work out maybe for him. He needs to make sure that this track stays dry just long enough so he can make this fast lap happen now. You'll be fighting the 2 Ferraris of Ryan Hurricane. All right, coming into the party once again is XRL Steele. Steele, before anything else, I'm just going to say, man, we've talked so much. If you want to stay in the broadcast booth with me for the rest of the day, you can, because you've been here for a significant amount of time anyways.
Say that again? I'm sorry.
If you want, you can just go ahead and stay in the broadcast booth for the rest of the race.
Well, considering that I have been here 3 times today now, I think I'll join you, but I will prefix that by saying on the switch to the inters, and I apologize for the Twitch gods that I'm about to offend, but I'm a dumbass.
Alright, now we see BD Bull Beast. He has come into the pits finally to take off the tires he's been running. He's equipped the soft tires. So I have to ask, Steele, the entire right side of your Mercedes was completely destroyed right in the middle of the racing line. What happened that destroyed the car at the end of the straightaway?
I had made the move to the inners and added an extra click of front wing in anticipation of the rain coming down earlier. It's just the switch to the inners was way too early. I had heard over the race chat that rain was already coming down on another section of the track. Apparently, someone had seen a drop, so I made the move right as I came out of Parabolica to come in and get on the intermediates in anticipation of possibly getting the jump on the rest of the field. It just turns out that that decision was a little premature. It's just a horrendously bad strategy call on my part. I'm not going to blame it on anything else than that. It was just a flat bad strategy call on my part.
Alright, so what exactly happened in the accident itself, though? Because we did follow you for about a lap after you made your stop. and we saw like a lot of like spins and stuff, but most of them were under the initial putting down application of the power. Nothing that would lead us to assume that you would have an accident at the end of a straightaway before you even get to the braking zone.
It just what had happened as I tried to ramp up the power. I just kept catching wheel spin because the track conditions were just simply too dry to support being on the intermediate compound. So it's just a bad strategy call on my part.
Right, well, that's the word from Steele. So now the question is, Careless Jackson was the next driver. He's already jumped onto the intermediates and has fallen all the way to 9th position. So it doesn't look like the track is wet enough yet to really support intermediates. So do we think... The real question I'm going to ask is just, do you think this idea of drivers coming in to jump onto softs to try and get the fastest lap point now is a decent idea, or do you think it's going to backfire on drivers like Kenzie Retro and Bullbeast?
At this point, granted, as we're now clearly seeing drops of rain starting to fall on the track, that's going to cause this track to slick up real quick. So I think staying or moving back onto the softs for drivers that have switched compounds is just going to be a waste of the pit. It's going to be a waste of the pit stop at this time, I think.
Right. Well, that's the word from Steele. So here's the other thing. Fiend has been pretty much unassailable all day long, and the only drivers who have really come close to fighting with him all seem to drop off gradually. Bullbeast has been there with him, but is now on a radically different strategy, and is so far off that it's unlikely he's going to be able to catch him. So my question in general is, do you see any way that Fiend loses this race, barring, the game deciding to be a piece of crap to him?
I will say, while I was still in the fight, Kenzie and Lowe, up to this point, despite some problems earlier in the race on the part of Kenzie having to do with his setup, I won't go into too much detail on that, but Kenzie has held on phenomenally well, and I will say that the setup that he's on now, the circumstances he finds himself in, are going to be very well suited to the conditions that this track is going to be in just a few more laps. So I think Kenzie does have the potential to possibly get into a position to at least get a podium and possibly challenge Fiend. And I do see now that speaking of Fiend, Higgsy is now overtaken him. Bullbeast has overtaken him as well.
The rain keeps teasing everybody. Bullbeast made the decision to come into the pits, and it's worked out for him because he's now overtaken Fiend. Fiend finally came into the pits. He has now fallen to 3rd. Now Higsby is your race leader by 1.4 seconds, but he is on worn mediums. Bullbeast and Fiend behind him are on fresh softs. We still are seeing raindrops falling though, and we saw also the other thing, I didn't point it out when it happened, but Careless Jackson, who ran laps on intermediates, has given up and he's back on softs. So we've seen rain for about 5 laps, but the track is still relatively dry. So it's so hard to figure out, anything about this race could literally change in a second, because we could just be 2 snaps away from the track being soaked and everyone needing to jump in now. But the tires don't care. The tires are still wearing at a normal rate. You can't just stay out on these tires forever. Look at Fiend on Bullbeast now. All top three are all on top of each other for the lead. They could end up going 3 wide at the end of the straight.
Well, they've certainly got Higsby in the middle of a racing point sandwich here. It's going to be rude. And Bullbeast is actually, I take that back. Bullbeast was in the middle of that sandwich, though, for a moment. He's managed to use that to his advantage and catapult into P1, so absolutely amazing showing from him for being in that really tight circumstance and being able to capitalize on it. And he's now pulled out a commanding lead on both of the racing points. And just like you were saying, it goes to show you, track conditions are literally changing second by second, so I'm inclined to say this could be anyone's race at this point.
At this point, Higsby is the driver who wants the sky to open up, but he wants the sky to open up as they come out of Parabolica so he can jump into the pit lane and be the first driver on the intermediates. Because as it stands right now, Higsby's worn mediums are hurting him more than anything else. He is losing touch with the top two.
Indeed, but he does still have a from the beginning of the top three pack to the end. There's still a 3.3 second gap. So the only real threat that Bull Beast is going to have right now is going to come in the form of Fiend, who's just a scant 0.8 of a second behind him. Higsby not in really much of a position to mount a challenge, especially on the mediums. He's going to continue to lose time here. So I think the real fight is going to be between Bull Beast and Fiend for the moment.
Another thing that's absolutely impressive to watch is that low he made way earlier, and he is closing in on Fletch and will likely try and overtake that Renault driver in a short period of time. But Fletch is the only driver who's in a unique situation. He can stay out on these hards as long as he wants. He doesn't have to worry about those tires dying on him. When the rain opens up, he can pit with no worries. Everyone else has to still continue to watch their tires very carefully.
Indeed. It's really interesting, and this is one of those rare. This is where one of those rare animals in the history of XRL, where a race, and especially wet conditions, have been so unpredictable here, and really made drivers question what exact strategy they want to run, because we can now see that the rain has stopped falling and conditions are rapidly returning back to dry. Just say for a few scant drops here and there, just not enough to justify a switch onto the intermediates in my eyes at this point.
Yeah, I'm watching from the cameras on board and on the racetrack. There's rain in Parabolica for sure. And I think I'm seeing rain at the north end of the not north end, but the top end of the circuit. The one right before the second straightaway. I forget what those two called.
Yeah, they Lesmos bends.
Yeah, I'm seeing rain in Lesmos. I'm not seeing much rain around the rest of the circuit. I see droplets, but nothing that would indicate that anything's staying around. And now they're going through Lesmos, and I'm not seeing rain through Lesmos this lap. But I saw rain through Lesmos last lap.
And it's like you said, it's so peculiar because you have sections of the track that are completely dry. You see the skies dark around here, and then you see those two sections of Parabolica and both the Lesmos bends where we are seeing indications of rain. So the question in a lot of these drivers' minds is exactly, what do we do at this point? Do we chance making the switch in anticipation of the rain coming down a lot harder, or do we stay where we're at and strike that last comment, because I now am seeing rain starting to fall track wide.
Low has caught Fletch as Higsby has already made his stop. Higsby swapped onto the softs and he's fallen to 5th position. He is 16 seconds out of 4th alone, and here our Fiend is continuing to work on Bull Beast, and Low is right there behind Fletch. So we're once again another point in this race where we're seeing and Fletch has made a mistake going into the chicane, and Low will easily overtake him.
Just very unfortunate situation there for Fletch, as he was in contention to make a run on Fiend, and then a follow-on run to Bull Beast, but just that little bobble, especially in these rapidly changing on-track conditions, have put him at a significant disadvantage now with.
Fiend underbraking, cuts the circuit, immediately aborts the attempt, but now Bull Beast cuts the circuit. They're gonna be side by side coming out of Ascari. They're side by side on the 3rd straightaway. There is no DRS. Who has the better run?
Fiend's got him. Fiend's got him.
But now they go under braking through Parabolica now. And this time Bull Beast will have DRS on Fiend ahead. Oh, The rain's coming down significantly harder now. Might Fiend have made that overtake at the perfect time? Bullbeast is coming back. He's got a head of steam on the inside, under braking.
Side by side through the chicane. Absolutely amazing driving. Absolutely amazing driving from both of these drivers.
And the track is gradually getting wetter, and they're still very aggressive. I'm going to be 100% honest. I think these two are going to continue to fight until either one of them crash or DRS is turned off by the race officials.
Oh,
and
Bullbeast
gets
is
into
off
the
a little
gravel.
bit. That's going to open the door for Fiend.
That's the other thing, though. Because of the conditions changing every lap, the driver ahead has no idea what the track condition is. The driver in second has an idea on what to expect in the next corner.
And
so for right now, being second might be a better option than being first. But if the track goes under full course yellow, you want to be first.
And Fiend for a moment pouring out virtually all his overtake in the run towards Parabolica, trying to open us up as much of a gap as he can on Bullbeast in anticipation that Bullbeast is going to bite the bullet and pit for those intermediates. I'm thinking in Fiend's mind right now, he may be trying to push those softs just one more lap. And
I'm also noticing that Fiend and Bullbeast are taking much tighter lines coming out of Parabolica.
And Bullbeast
they are
is going to
ready
have
for
the overtake on Fiend for P1.
But will he be able to hold on to it under
side
braking?
by side again. Jesus. What are these drivers doing? Giving us the race of a lifetime. Giving us the race of a lifetime.
Here comes Fiend. He's poking all around now. He looks and he abandons. He wants to let Bullbeast potentially make the same mistake he did last lap. He did not, though. They're fine. There's going to be some lap traffic they're going to be closing in on very shortly. That could further compound this.
Bullbeast and Fiend definitely giving us one hell of a show here. And Fiend with the DRS, he's going to go for Bullbeast, and he's got him on the outside as we make the run into the fast chicane here.
Going through a Scary now. Fiend not holding back whatsoever, but he can't get away from Bullbeast, and Bullbeast hasn't been able to do anything back to Fiend. The rest of the field has pretty much sorted itself out, and they're all just waiting for the track to go full wet and to swap to intermediates. But Fiend and Bullbeast continuing to slug it out for a lead. This time, Fiend will be leading at the line, but Bullbeast has DRS and ERS. He's going to get alongside under braking once more.
Oh, and again! A
little bit of contact. Oh yeah, that McLaren is way better putting the power down right now. And that's Carlos Jackson who pulls over to let them by. Carlos Jackson was contending for podiums earlier, and now, due to a poorly timed switch to the intermediates, is now falling a lap down. Bullbeast, time penalty for track violations. That's not going to help him. Looking real quickly, when it comes to penalties, Bullbeast and Fiend exactly with 6 seconds apiece. Oh, and he's back into the gravel again.
These two drivers just continuing to slug this out. I mean, this between them has literally turned into a street fight.
And it's getting significantly wetter. Like you said about a lap or so ago, there is without a doubt rain across the entire circuit. The track is dry, but we don't know how much longer it's going to stay dry like this.
I'm looking for Fiend to make the move on the run out of Parabolica against Bullbeast, and I'm having a feeling. Yep, here comes the run. Here it comes. Is he gonna get him by the first chicane? Pouring it on, absolutely pouring it on, looking for that break to the outside. Here comes the break to the outside. Oh, and he's gonna get him.
Contact!
He thought for a moment he might have had him on the inside of the chicane.
There was a little bit of contact, though. The McLaren is just a little bit better at putting the power down, but it looks like the tracing point is a little bit better going down the straights, and Bullbeast seems to make a little bit more mistakes than Fiend right now.
Indeed. Just looking for Fiend to close that gap. Fiend has got the muscle to do it, and Bull Beast getting into the gravel momentarily in the first Lesmo, and almost again on the exit of the second Lesmo. It's all going to come down to how much Fiend wants to push it going into Ascari. If he gets the right entry into Ascari, he's got him on the exit. And it looks like he's got the run on him. Looks like he's got the run on him.
Yeah, he lost a little bit of time though, exiting Ascari, but he's way closer to Bull Beast, so he should, if he doesn't make a mistake in Parabolica, he should be able to pull alongside, if not ahead, going into the braking zone. This reminds me a little bit of the, I believe it was 1970 Formula One race at Monaco, where we saw a record of number of lead changes in that race. I think this race is on track to seeing a record number of lead changes as well throughout the entirety of XRL. Not just XRL,
and again,
but
Fiend coming into
XRL.
And again, Fiend coming to the inside in the first chicane, and again that little bit of contact. These drivers are trying to force each other to make that one critical mistake that is going to open up the door for one driver to get a significant advantage over the other. It's just a matter of these drivers. How far do you want to push it at this point? That is 100% what this is coming down to. Exactly how hard do you want to push it to get position?
All right, here's something else I've just noticed. So while these two are fighting, they're still pulling away from the rest of the field. Lowe, who is in third position, is more than 21 seconds out
and hang on.
from the two leaders.
Liam going to the inside, getting ready to make the run into Ascari, and he has got him! He got him! Pour it on, buddy! Pour it on!
But now Bull Beast is really close. He's going to pour it on going down this straightaway, just so he can stay close and try to make the overtake back, going into turns 1 and 2 once more. He falls off just a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, to quote XRL Sack, this is white knuckle racing at its finest. And again, Bull Beast coming to the inside into the first chicane. And again, Liam with the move. Holy God, ladies and gentlemen. What can you say to this?
The McLaren still got him! Oh my God, every single lap, I am folding my hands and clutching them to my chest because I am anticipating the track being just wet enough that the two cars are going to slide off, and they've done this for lap after lap after lap. Not to mention, it's lap 46, and Fiend cuts the chicane just a little bit, and now he's going to fall off the back of Bull Beast. That's not going to help him. But here's the thing.
The critical mistake. There is the critical mistake.
But here's the counterpoint, though. Fiend is now far enough back from Bull Beast, he'll have a little bit of clean air that he can utilize, and he will have a better idea as to when the track is getting wet, because he can gauge it off of Bull Beast right now. Right now, I'm going to be 100% honest, when Fiend cuts the corner again, and that's another 3 seconds time penalty, it's not going to help him.
Oh no. You know...
But again, Fiend could still come back, because all it would take is... if the track goes completely wet and he jumps into the pits and swaps on the intermediates with the right timing against Bull Beast, he could not only be ahead of Bull Beast, but he could be miles ahead of him. This track takes a long time to go around.
You know, I'm not gonna lie and saying I've literally been checking my pulse every lap coming into that first chicane to make sure I'm not dead, because this is an otherworldly scenario that they're in right now. And again, Fiend able to get right back on the rear wing of Bull Beast, trying to force that mistake, trying to force a time penalty to put himself back in this. And now with just 6 laps to go, caution has got to go out the window here if Fiend expects to win this race.
So now here's the other question. Do you change onto intermediates if the track goes fully wet? There's only going to be, let's say they pit right now. You'd have lap 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. Yeah, you would have 6 laps on the intermediates. Okay, sure, maybe you can justify that. What if it's a lap later? What if it's a lap after that? What if the track is completely soaked with 2 laps to go? Lowe is hanging out in third position, and he's been nice and slow and consistent, 24 seconds out. If Lowe just doesn't make any mistakes and stays out on the circuit, he could end up taking the win from Bull Beast and Fiend if the top 2 drivers decide to pit for intermediates. So do you make the decision to go to intermediates even if the track gets soaked at this point?
I don't see where 23 seconds back from Fiend. I don't see where he's got enough time to pull it off. I honestly do not see where he's got enough time to pull it off. I hate to be the voice of dissent on that, but I don't see where he's got the time, especially now, Fiend having to give serious thought with Bullbeast with now what amounts to a 5-second gap, including his time penalty. He has got to force the mistake or force the spin from Bullbeast to have any shot of winning this race at this point.
Again, the only thing I'm just wondering is if Lowe can control the car on the worn slick tires in the wet conditions, but Bullbeast and Fiend decide not to risk it and they pit. Pit lane here is extremely, extremely long, and it's right in the middle of a DRS straight as well. Like, you not only are you losing time from pitting, you're losing even more time artificially because you're taking away the fastest part of the track from you that lap. That's the only reason I'm wondering if Lowe still has a chance if the top two drivers decide to pit.
But hang on before we discuss that. Looking at the timing board here, I'm seeing where Fiend has now closed that gap down to 6/10 of a second.
Oh boy!
Could we be seeing some new life? Could we be seeing some new life from Fiend here? Could those tires that Bullbeast has got be starting to fall off now? Let's take a look at the laps that are on those tires. Seeing as Bullbeast has 15 laps on those softs, whereas Fiend now has 12 laps on those softs. That soft tire compound starting to fall off for him. That could be a great opportunity. Depending with now 4 laps to go. It's going to come down to tires because I honestly think that this rain is going to start backing off. This is just an absolutely crazy 1 in a million scenario that we're in here right now. So it's just going to come down to these drivers pushing these tire compounds. I think it's just going to come down to them pushing these tire compounds.
Fiend has fallen off just a little bit. Oh, and Flesh has made contact with Higsby and now falls down to the 5th position. Danny has just lost his spot to Jabascian also. That's one other thing when it comes to the points battle. Danny has 26 laps on his tires.
Bullbeast comes way off. Bullbeast comes way off. Again, giving Fiend an opportunity. And I'm sorry, back to what you were saying between Higsby and Fletch. Sorry for that momentary break-in.
Flesh and Higsby have to come into the pits because damage. Danny's tires off 20 million. Possibly Ryan Hurricane might make, however small it is, a close on the points if Danny can't keep it together. But again, the big focus right now is going to be the race lead because Fiend has closed back in on Bullbeast. Bullbeast is losing a significant amount of time in the 3rd section.
Indeed he is. That's a fight that, especially in these last 3 laps, we monitor very closely. Very closely as we see the laps starting to rack up on these tires. Guys, I can't even talk straight at this point. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This situation just becoming so otherworldly. I have to pinch myself at this point to make sure that I'm not dreaming. I'm just the ridiculousness of this scenario just defies description at this point.
9/10 separate Bullbeast and Fiend. Fiend didn't get the greatest exit out of Ascari, but he is just on the border of being in DRS. I don't think he was close enough to get DRS on the main straight this time. I think he might have been just a little bit out of it.
And Fletch now picking up a 3-second time penalty. That's going to hurt him as he drops down to 7th now, behind Jeebus John in 6th, Kenzie in 5th, Higsby 4th, Lowe 3rd, Fiend in 2nd. Fiend doing everything he can to try to close that gap with now just 3 laps remaining on as we're on lap 51 of this 53 lap affair. How is this going to end?
Kenzie Retro has had an incident and in the process has let Jabascian get back by him. I do want to say real quickly, congratulations to Jabascian. He is the only driver thus far to not have earned any time penalties whatsoever. and he is currently staying in the 5th position. This is going to look like it will be a great finish for not just James Conn, but Red Bull as a whole. Kinsey seems to be going extremely slow on the racetrack. I wonder, is he low on fuel? I don't see him one sign.
That's a very strong possibility. Also, he is on 19-lap-old soft tires. He could be wanting to nurse those tires to try to make it through to the end.
Also, 3rd and 4th position in a battle. Higsby is closing back in on low, and Fiend is closing back in on Bull Beast. But again, another lap where Fiend was not close enough to get DRS on Bull Beast. That's not going to be the case for the battle for 3rd and 4th positions, though. Higsby is definitely within range to get by low if things work out. Fiend closed up a significant amount under braking and then lost it under acceleration. The McLaren has significantly better acceleration out of the slower corners, and that is the biggest thing that is helping them right now.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. If I have to make a call right now, with just 2 laps to go, I don't think Fiend has enough to get him at this point.
I think at this point the question is just going to be if Bull Beast is going to make a serious mistake, because all it takes right now is a serious mistake from Bull Beast and Fiend can get back in front. But the gap has opened up significantly now. It's now back to being over 1.5 seconds. Fiend closes in a little bit under braking, but isn't really able to do anything else besides that. He needs Bull Beast to make a mistake, and I don't see that happening. There is still this battle for 3rd and 4th, though. Low is on very worn mediums. Higsby's is on worn sauce, but worn sauce in this scenario are going to be faster than the worn mediums. I think this might be a chance. Higsby is going to try and put himself back on the podium positions. He's right in the right in the slipstream. Nothing at the end of the 2nd straightaway. Now they go through a Ascari.
And just right on the gearbox low, all the way through Ascari. Right on his gearbox. But Higsby having 9 seconds of time penalties versus Low's 3. I think he's pretty much held out of the podium positions.
Battle for the lead, though, seems to have pretty much dissipated. Unless Bull Beast makes a mistake, Fiend, who dominated a significant amount of this race, is going to just come home. All right, Higsby is overtaken Low at the end of the straightaway. So last lap overtake, Higsby got by Low. So tracing points, 2nd and 3rd now. But again, like you said, with the time penalties, I think it's going to still go back in Low's favor. But as I was saying, as our leaders go through Ascari one more time, BD Bull Beast, despite having more worn tires, despite the fact that the track is right on the knife's edge of being dry or wet, despite everything, Bull Beast is going to come out of this with what looks to be a very, very hard-earned and well-deserved win. Honestly, what might be the most intense battle for the win I've ever seen in XRL. Coming to the line, he's got it. Bull Beast is your race winner at Monza. Fiend will come home 2nd. Higsby right now is going to cross the line 3rd, but I think, and there's been an incident, and that is Kinsey Retro has had an accident. Kinsey Retro, who is rated in 6th position, has had an accident there. Coming out of the 2nd chicane, that's not going to help him one bit. But anyways, at the line, here comes Higsby, here comes Low.
You know, Insane, I have to say, this has hands down been the most exciting race of the XRL to date, without a doubt.
I agree, and I wasn't anticipating anything close to this when we were coming into qualifying. We only had 15 people show up. I was like, man, this is gonna be a pretty sad race. Everyone's gonna get spread out really quickly. It was like, no, there's actually a lot of very interesting battles all the way throughout. James John will come home in the 5th position. Here comes Fletch. He's coming rounding the track, around the last corner of Parabolica right now, in the Renault. His strategy for betting on swapping the intermediates did not work out for him. He will come home 6th, though. Here comes Ryan Hurricane. He is going to come by 7th, and Danny is going to come by. Danny is extremely slow on the straight, but he will still come by 8th. So Ryan Hurricane will close a very small amount on Danny, but with 2 races left. Oh, and Kinsey Retro apparently retired in the last corner. Okay, that's interesting. But, yeah, in the championship battle, Danny's not going to lose a small amount in the points, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really change it. I think he's still the favorite for the title.
Just my God, absolutely amazing race from these drivers. We've got two McLarens on the podium. We've got the racing point. We've got the lone racing point of Fiend. Just absolutely fantastic race from these drivers. Just again, hands down, one of the best races I've ever seen out of the XRL. Just absolutely fantastic. We need to get them in here to get their thoughts.
Yeah, we need to get both
this.
first and second in here. Fiend. I'm gonna try and get Fiend in here real quickly. All right, and there is your in lineup, and Bull Beast in the end takes the point for the fastest in-race lap, so congratulations to him for that. As we look down the entire grid, all right, here we are. Fiend is coming into the party real quickly. Fiend, go ahead and include your audio. We're going to try and get Bull Beast in here also.
Cool.
All right. But Fiend, I know it's not a win, but you had a here we are. Here comes Bull Beast coming into the party. Bull Beast, go ahead, include your audio. Our first and second place finishers today. I just want to say the show you guys put on was absolutely outstanding.
My
Both
God.
of you, almost every lap, neck to neck, wire to wire, with the track bordering on being wet and not safe to drive. How in the world did you two do that for so many laps?
Oh, it was just very, very clean. Very good, clean racing. Just giving each other respect, the amount of room that we're giving each other, just enough to get round the chicane. I don't know how many times we went round the first chicane, but...
It's okay, Bulbies.
Oh, man.
We'll just re-say whatever you say in the chat, in the text chat. We'll just say it. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna say much right now. To paraphrase the great American rapper Sir Mix-a-Lot, oh my God, Bull Beast, look at that racecraft. Absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. Same to you, Liam. What was going through your mind as you were battling with Bull Beast? That, again, hands down, that is some of the best racing I have ever seen in the XRL. Both of you just putting on an absolutely phenomenal show. So what was going through your mind as you battled with him?
Thank you. Well, every time going around the chicane, just so close to getting getting past, but just not quite getting there. I was thinking, just bit more pace, but I'm so happy with P2 Bull Beast. Well done on the win, because it was amazing.
Yeah. Real quickly in the text chat, Bull Beast has gone ahead, said that although he doesn't have a mic, he said, I loved the racing and very clean racing. Here's my question to the two of you. At any point in that battle, did either of you consider trying to jump into the pits to get on the intermediates before the others, if the track got even wetter?
No, never. Never went through my mind once. Only...
Really? So
yeah,
you were committed to the softs to the softs to the end?
Yeah, only unless it was very, very slippy, which I don't think it got to that stage. But even if it did, it would have been about 2 or 3 laps to the end, maybe. So, never went through my mind once.
All right, Bolby says he thought about it, but he had to stop early. Yeah, that was the other thing. A lot of drivers seem to be hedging bets with the track getting completely wet. Bolby, he said you thought about it, but had to stop early, so you couldn't commit to that. You said you didn't commit to it whatsoever. Yeah, Bulbies, I will say this. You made the one-stop work at a circuit that I honestly thought it would never have worked at, so good job on that also.
Oh, yeah, the one-stop. Oh, my goodness. Well done, man.
Yeah. All right, so I will just go ahead and say this. I know I've not been with XRL in general for a long time, but without a doubt, I think this will have to go down as like top 5 events in the entirety of XRL. Not just the Realistic Racing League, but like over the entire series. What you did, lap after lap after lap after lap, there was like about 12 laps in a row there where the two of you were exchanging the lead once or twice a circuit. Like that alone, that in itself is so far beyond anything you would ever see, not just in real life Formula 1, but like even in virtual racing, that kind of stuff hardly ever happens. The only other time I've ever seen that, ever, where two drivers are just exchanging the lead that much, was Indy Cars at Pocono in 2017, and I've never seen it happen like that ever before. What you guys did there was incredible. How long were you fighting for a lead? It was, when did you drop out? Because it was basically as soon as I brought Steele in to the broadcast, the two of you went at it. It was almost a third of the race.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it was after the last pit stop. So,
Yeah,
so the last pit stop, I went into the pits, and then Higgsy came out in front, and then Bull Beast was just slightly ahead. He was maybe about less than half a second ahead. And that's when it started.
Yeah, that was the other thing. You two, the overtake you pulled on Higsby, as Higsby's tires were going away on him, that was incredible in its own right. I honestly said, coming out of the straight, oh god, this is close, this is close, this is close. I thought you were going to go 3 wide. You didn't go 3 wide, but the two of you just kind of breezed by him in one of the hardest braking zones on the track. That was incredible also.
Yeah, I saw a gap in the middle there. Well, the intention was to go 3 wide there, but then Bull Beast came out to the side, and then I saw a gap in the middle, and then I just pulled out of it, and then I'm not sure what happened to Higgsy, but yeah,
Higgsby's tires were just kind of dead at that point, so
yeah, he didn't
at
pit
that
long
point,
after.
Higgsby was on like 25 or 30 lap worn medium tires, so
Because
he didn't have a hope to keep up.
Because that battle fiend between you and Bull Beast, that went on for, from what I could see, nearly 10 laps that you guys were just constantly back and forth in sector 3 and sector 1. You guys just constantly going back and forth. I had actually made the comment to Insane that it literally looked like we should put the two of you in a boxing ring and just let you slug it out. That's how absolutely amazing this was. I had to check my pulse to make sure I wasn't dead. Because this was just so otherworldly, and that's really a testament to not to continue to thump on it too hard, but that's really a testament to some absolutely amazing racecraft between both you and Bull Beast, and again in the entire time I've known you, I've seen you go from, please don't take offense to what I'm about to say, I've seen you go from a mediocre driver to an absolutely phenomenal driver, someone whom I think is fully worthy of an X2 or an X1 slot, or if there were even to become a higher tier like an elite tier, I could entirely see you going there, because you guys kept it so clean in some very tight spaces. So once again, just absolutely phenomenal driving from you guys. You have set the standard for what a good clean fight and what racecraft is in this league. So well done on both of you.
Thank you.
Now, I will go ahead and say this. Although Steele definitely just spent a long amount of time there on his knees, a lot longer than I would be comfortable spending on it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that, yeah, the racecraft the two of you put on, without a doubt, is probably the best I've seen across the entirety of XRL. Normally, going side by side that many times, that many laps, there'd be a lot more contact. One of you guys would have eventually lost the wing or pushed the other off the circuit. And yeah, I know there was a few times where you two kind of were right on the edge of cutting the circuit in the.
It was close.
Chicanes, but you guys absolutely nailed that all the way throughout. Like, normally I would have wrapped up the broadcast. I'm still crazy over what you guys were able to pull off. And again, the track was like right on the knife's edge of being wet, and you were still doing it. And here's the other thing. While you two were doing that, the two of you were still pulling away from the rest of the field. There were drivers who came in early, jumped onto the softs thinking they could set the fastest lap time of the race, and still the two of you had the 2 fastest lap times by the end of the event as well.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
Hey, Insane.
Like I say, it was a very entertaining race. Well,
Yeah,
it was a very entertaining race. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
Now, insane. When I go on Amazon this afternoon, I'm gonna order myself a set of knee pads. I'm gonna order you a set too.
All right. Sounds good. I think we're going to need it going forward. I also need to go ahead and wash some of this excess salt out of my mouth. But anyways, unless either of you two have anything else you want to say before we go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Pardon, sorry?
No, just do either of you have anything else you want to say before we wrap this broadcast up?
I think we've covered it really, haven't you? But, I mean, XRL, it's all about clean racing. That's all we want.
Indeed it is.
I think tonight, like you guys said, it was very entertaining. So, thank you for all of your praise. And let's see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, regrettably, I won't be with you guys tomorrow. I'm going to be in the Indianapolis 500, where Romain Grosjean will not be because he's not running the ovals. But former F1 drivers of Marcus Ericsson will be going for it, as well two-time 500 champion Takuma Sato. But anyways, at 5 p.m. UK time on the main channel will be the X1 race at Monza, and on the alternate channel at the same time will be the X3 race, and at 8 p.m. UK time will be the X2 race. Again, all of those will be at Monza. I highly encourage you to check any of those events out, because Monza usually is one of the better tracks for the series. But anyways, I've been Insane Leader 13. I was joined multiple times throughout the event by XRL Steel, and that's been our talks with our race winner, Bull Beast, and our second place finisher. And once again, congratulations to both of you as we go ahead and wrap this on up. We'll look forward to seeing you all next week as the season is winding down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Insane Leader 13, and I am XRL Steel. Thanks again for joining us. This has been the Extreme Realistic Racing League, and we'll see you next week. I'm out of here.